right, this is the Brown Duke Gun Show. My name is JP Garcia, here today with Austin Menard. Brandon is getting a haircut.
No, Brandon.
I know, yeah. You know what we should do? We should do one of those things. Have you ever seen that charity, St. Baldrick's? Like, I'm super into charities, right?
I've never seen that charity.
St. Baldrick's. It was huge in Kentucky. But what it is, it's one of the charities that raises money for, I think it's childhood cancer.
Okay.
Also, but you're supposed to, raise money, and then, it's basically people paying you to shave your head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then so you.
Oh yeah, we should shave Brandon's head.
Yeah. It's like, so if you want, if you want to see Brandon shave his head,
Yep.
Then
let us know.
Let us know, and we'll put up a donation straight to St. Baldrick's. You don't have to pay us. Just go.
Yeah.
Donate $5, $10, $100, or $1,000.
We'll make it reasonable, like $60 for him to shave his hair.
Yeah, maybe 75.
Maybe 75.
Maybe 75. Yeah. So, that's what he gets for not coming.
That's right.
But I think that'd be a cool one. That
would be cool.
A cool little charity thing to do.
Be cool.
So, but yeah, so he's out, but we're here today, and we're gonna look at something, trying something new, looking at what AI generated. So I asked AI a question: what are the top 10 things that gun owners think they should be doing, but probably should not be doing? And so Austin and I are just going to go down the list here and see what this thing actually says. So I'll scroll up the key points. Yeah, we'll skip that. Intro, we'll skip that. Safety practices to avoid. Okay,
what a strange topic.
Yeah,
title.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and it should be noted, too, that this is what AI says, and we're just going to go through them and see whether or not we agree or disagree with
Correct.
them. So
yeah, because I think
these are not our thoughts.
Right, not our thoughts. We're going to give commentary on this. But it is interesting that, because AI, there's so much going on about it. It's so hot of a topic right now.
Yeah.
That, what happens with AI, if you don't know, and if you do know, I'm sorry to try to cover this topic, but what it does, it just eats everything in the internet and gives you a synopsis of what it found. AI doesn't have its own opinions, right? This is just a very sophisticated computer algorithm that basically ingested everything on the internet. So what we see here is a representation of what people believe,
yeah.
Okay,
or have posted the majority of on the internet.
Yeah. So we're here to see if it's correct or debunk or give our commentary here. Sure. So safety practices to avoid. The first one here is don't rely solely on the gun's safety mechanism. And then the subtext here is always treat every gun as if it can fire, as safeties can fail.
Yep. This is 100% correct. Definitely correct. It's a mechanism. It's a mechanical mechanism. They fail. They fail very frequently. Safeties don't fail very frequently, but mechanical mechanisms fail. So this is 100% right, and this just basically goes into firearm safety rule number 1 of treat all guns as if they're loaded. Mm-hmm. But we've seen this in the range. People will either like come up to the counter with a gun, or in the range, and like we've had like the amount of loaded guns we've had pointed at us.
Yes,
and we've got the comment before, but the gun's unsafe. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that's my opinion on this one.
Well, and at least really, I hate to bring up controversy here, but I'm going to be controversial in a little bit. Look at what's going on with SIG 320s, right? All the news that's going on with SIG 320s that allegedly are going off without, people actuating the trigger.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Yeah. But
it just goes to show that if it is mechanical, safeties can fail.
Correct. Absolutely.
If it is the case, we can talk to her blue in the face about that specific topic. But we'll see if we want to get that controversial today.
For sure. Yeah. So, okay. So for those, we'll even go a step further. Here is the fix to not relying on your gun safety mechanism. Keep your finger off the trigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds so cliche, but if your finger is not touching the trigger, you cannot actuate the trigger. It's the most boring thing to practice. I know, I get it, but I was just talking to 2 new shooters last night that came to the club, and both of them on their first stage, I RO'd them. They got finger off the trigger warnings, and so I had to go show them at the safe table, like, okay, hey, this is what I mean by finger off the trigger. I don't mean if you can, if your finger is off the trigger, but I can't tell, then to me, your finger's on the trigger.
Yeah.
Right.
We always say like light through both sides. Like you should be able to see light through both. Like from one side, I should see light, and the other side should be super obvious that your finger's off the trigger.
Yeah.
Because as an instructor, that's what we teach, because it's like that way I can see it, and then especially in something like USPSA where it's a very fast moving environment.
Correct.
I should be able to see without a shadow of a doubt that your finger's not on that trigger.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to make it very pronounced. And, some people say, oh, because I tell them to index off of the ejection port. They're like, well, gas is going to come off there. It's like, well, if you think about it, no, because when you're pulling the trigger, that's when the cartridges eject, and that's when the gas comes out. If your finger is off the trigger, then necessarily it won't happen that way.
Yeah. And if you're fast enough to pull the trigger and then get your finger to the ejection port before the slide closes, we need to talk about how fast your finger is.
That's right. Yeah. You're in the Matrix.
Yeah. You need to go talk to Jerry Mitchell about shooting.
That's right. Okay. The second one here: avoid carrying a loaded gun in a scabbard, holster not worn, or a gun case. And so it says, unload immediately when not in use to prevent accidents.
Carrying a loaded gun in a scabbard, holster not worn, or gun case.
So I guess if you have a gun in a holster but you're not wearing it, or carrying a loaded gun in a gun case. So I could take the last one first. I could see the gun case.
This needs to be split up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, loaded gun in a gun case, probably not a good idea. Okay. Yeah. Just because stuff in the gun case, it rattles. Something could actuate that trigger in there. Yep. Honestly, if you get, a piece of foam that's hard enough that it gets in there, it could actuate the trigger. Probably a good idea that if you're going to case it, unload it.
Yep.
Okay. A holster not worn, I don't buy that one. I don't buy that.
That's wrong for a lot of reasons, and I'll tell you why. It's wrong for a lot of reasons because I have a routine every morning. Like when I put flashlight, knife, phone, wallet, keys, gun goes on. The second the gun goes on, press check, gun in the holster. For a lot of people, that's not their routine. Sure. To press check a gun that they're carrying. And it's extremely important because if you practice what this is saying of unloading a gun in a holster that's not being worn, there will come a day when you forget to press check it. And there's actually a famous story it was, I don't know the circumstances, a teenage son, his dad was a police officer. His dad started teaching him to shoot a lot. So they were training together, yada, yada. Mom and dad went out for dinner or something. So he was dry fire practicing with his dad's duty rig and finished dry fire practicing, put the magazine back in the gun, put the gun back in the holster. And the next day his dad got in a gunfight, pulled the gun out and went click. Yeah. And it was unloaded and he died. So if his dad's routine was to keep the gun loaded in the holster, he probably doesn't press check it every day, right? And again, I don't know how true that story is, but it's just an example of something that possibly could happen, right? So I don't agree with this because your holster is a safety mechanism. Yeah. So if you have a proper holster, like if you're somebody with a leather holster, like this is probably true because it's probably just going to slip out. Like if somebody gets a hold of it,
that may be that scabbard thing.
Yeah. But these holsters for these, it's not coming out. I can go do handstands and stuff. So this kind of thing, you should really never unload it in my opinion. Maybe every once in a while to check ammo, flip the first round, but
well, here, so I can see the caveat to this, okay, is, you always have to know what your surroundings are, okay? And I think what you're saying, it works for sure if you have high control of the people that are around you. Sure. Okay? Yep. So, for example, if you have young kids or whatever, okay, you probably shouldn't leave your holstered gun loaded somewhere where they can reach it.
That's the thing. Why? And the thing is, if that's the issue, then maybe you're leaving it in the wrong place.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that maybe you have to add that to there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't leave your gun loaded, holstered in a random place
Of your house, yeah.
of your house or anywhere.
Or anywhere, yeah.
You know, one thing I've always heard, it was a buddy of mine in Texas who said that your car is not your holster. Right. So you got to be real careful about leaving, guns in the car. Right. I mean,
I know that all too well.
I won't judge, but you know, cars can get robbed. They get robbed a lot. Right. So point is, so I think you can be safe with a gun loaded in a holster off of your body, provided that you are aware of your surroundings and the people who may have access to that. Right. And then you got to use your judgment.
Agree.
So,
and also implement when you put your gun on every day, implement a press check.
Yeah.
It's good practice.
Yeah. And don't break your routine.
Yeah.
Don't break your routines. So, yeah. Okay. Never pull the trigger. This is the next one. Never pull the trigger with a safety on or in between positions. This can cause accidental discharge. Keep fingers off the trigger until ready to shoot.
True.
Yes.
True. Yep. Again, mechanical devices, they fail, especially if you start straining them by pulling on them.
Yeah.
They fail.
They're not designed to take that level of
force.
grip all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're and I'm speaking of like now like a 1911, 2011 thumb safety. They're gonna, they can handle some force, but if you're a strong dude, you can pull past it, through it. You'll break the safety is what'll happen.
Yeah.
So,
hard to agree with this.
Yeah. Agree. So next one, don't use improper or hand loaded ammunition.
Okay.
Yeah.
This goes both ways. So the key word here is improper.
Yeah.
So hand-loaded ammunition is perfectly safe as long as you are following all SAMI guidelines on loading ammunition.
Right.
If you want to go out there and buy a press and load your own ammunition, good for you, man. I think you're going to learn a lot about ammunition, which is an excellent skill to have, especially when diagnosing firearm problems.
Yeah.
But you have to stick to the guidelines.
Yeah. Recipes.
Yeah.
All
recipes,
of those.
Yeah. SAMI has guidelines. And if anybody doesn't know who SAMI is, it's the governing agency. I say governing, meaning that they're the authority over over ammunition manufacturing. So,
right.
And then like there's the infamous, euphemism of Bubba's pissing hot loads. Like, oh yeah, my uncle makes these and he double charges them. So they, my 9mm coming out the same speed as a 308. It's
yikes.
Buddy, your gun is going to blow up in your hand.
Your hand. Don't shoot
you're
that
gonna lose
ammo.
a hand.
Yeah, for sure.
So make sure that it comes from, and if you're buying hand-loaded ammunition from somebody, which if they don't have an ammunition company is against the law, don't do it.
Yes.
Don't do it. Now you can give extra, let's just say you can't do it. Let's not get into the caveats.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But if you're buying hand-loaded ammunition from somebody that actually has a ammunition company and has the licensing to do so, ask them about their process. What kind of machines are they using? How are they loading them? If they say that they're loading them 9mm rounds on a single stage press, ask them how their mental capability is, because they're probably not doing too well.
Right.
But no, like they should be telling you like, I'm loading it on this type of machine.
Yeah.
If it's an actual thing. And I say that because when you get into machines, you're having powder checks, you're having seat depth checks, you're having
lots of things.
You're having bullet checks. So primer checks, so
everything.
Yeah, so the machine is checking everything, and it's the consistency factor of the loaded ammunition. So
right.
Yes and
yeah. As an example for skill builder ammo, right? We have our machines have laser bullet checks. You have all the the primer stuff, the powder depth check, all of that stuff, right? It is automated. It's a machine that happens. It does everything. And then the next step that we actually take is that we will take it and QC it by hand.
Every single one of them.
So every single, and the guys get mad that everybody's got to case gauge this ammo, but we case gauge every round. We make sure.
Case gauging is a huge one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Because you want to make sure that it's not going to jam up in your case and all of that stuff. So we take all the precautions. We prepare all of our cases. If this is assuming we're not loading on brand new cases, right?
Yep.
But even still, we take these The only thing we don't do
We
differently.
still case gauge on brand new ammunition.
We still case gauge. We don't roll size.
Right.
That's the only thing we don't
Because
do.
you don't have to. We don't need to because it's not fire formed.
Exactly. So, but we do everything the same. We make sure everything has a primer. We flip them over, make sure all the bullets have projectiles in them, because you will not believe that sometimes these jacketed rounds will have no projectile in it, and then you'll have to cull that one. You know. So, point is, there are levels of this, right? And so if you're hand loading, SAMI spec, you want this, you don't want to load any shorter or longer than SAMI spec. Number one. Number two, each powder manufacturer will have their suggested load. Okay.
Yep.
Stay within that guy. Okay. Don't color out of bounds, right? Don't think that, you can, let me put it a different way. Those companies have teams of engineers and lawyers to figure out what they can tell you to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a reason for that, because if you go out of bounds, you'll blow yourself up.
Yeah. And there's no circumstance within the bounds that give you that you can harm yourself.
Now, I'm blaspheming my USPSA brethren. I get it. I know we load to different specs. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But everybody knows that's your own risk. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of that is also going the other direction. Unless it's like open.
Yeah.
Where you're like trying to push as much gas as possible. A lot of it's going the other direction of trying to get the round and shoot as soft as possible.
Correct. Yeah.
But that's also very dangerous, because you squib around and then put one behind it, you're gonna blow the gun up.
Exactly.
So yeah, follow SAMI spec, and then also look, if you just don't want to have to worry about the ammunition you're buying, hand loaded ammunition. Go buy Skill Builder ammunition.
Yes. You can buy Skill Builder. You can find it soon. You find it soon on sentrydef.com. And if you don't, look, if you're not in our area and you don't want to buy ours, that's fine. I get it. But go to somebody who makes it. Go to a company. Go to somebody like Skill Builder or Black Dot. These folks who cater to the certain sport that you do. The hunting rounds, the very craft, boutique hunting rounds.
There's guys that now that's like a single press type of thing, but you find somebody that's very good at it, that's an expert at it. You'll know.
And you can ask. So the correct questions to ask there: what does this ammo chrono at? Yeah. Right. Look
They're
at
like,
those
I have no
velocities.
idea. It's like, okay, you don't. Exactly. What's a chrono? They're like, okay, yep, nope, pass.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because then you can compare it to factory ammo.
Yep, exactly.
And that's the best way to do it.
Exactly.
So that's hand-loaded ammunition. The one thing I do want to say, don't use improper ammunition. The thing that I thought about for this one, 223 and 5.56, right? Some people think it's automatically interchangeable. They're not. Also, another one is 223 rounds, 223/5.56 rounds fit in the same magazine as 300 Blackout.
Yeah, good luck.
So
and vice versa.
Improper ammo, right? And then some people, I heard about this with revolvers. So I know that certain revolvers, 357 and 38, fine.
Yep.
But if you try to shove something else in there, I can't think of a round, but only use what it's supposed to shoot, right?
Yeah. A 50 cal round will fit in a 12 gauge, by the way. Just for everybody's information.
So this is a perfect example of what not to improper ammo.
Oh yeah, don't do that. Please, dear God, don't do that. And even some factory ammo, like we talk about plus P, some guns are not designed to shoot plus P. Correct. It's in your manual. You need to go read it. Most modern guns are. Plus P is verified by SAMI, so that's good. Plus P plus is not. Don't buy that crap.
Yeah. Another one is 380 and 9. 380 and 9 are similar, that if you have like an older, looser fitting gun, you might be able to get one of those in, don't do that.
Oh, a 9mm go into a 380? Yeah. 380 would definitely go into a 9mm.
Correct. Yeah. And you don't want to do that either, because it's not going to hit the lanes and grooves.
Yep, it's going to bounce around. Yep.
So don't do that.
Go in there. Yeah. So vet your manufacturer if you're buying hand-loaded ammunition. Ask what they're using and everything.
Yep. So, okay, next. Always check the barrel for obstructions before shooting. Failure to do so can cause the barrel to bulge or burst.
I'm gonna give you this one first. It's like
so okay.
I don't want to say I disagree with the concept, but here's
what I would say. I would say if you haven't shot the gun or picked up the gun in a month or more, or 5 months, a year, 10 years, something like that, and you don't know the condition of the gun. You can't remember the last condition of the gun.
Right.
Or you can't remember the last time you
shot
cleaned it.
Or shot it. Yeah.
Or shot it.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's, okay, it may be a good idea.
Yeah. This is where I think this falls under. I think this falls under when you took your test to get your driver's license. They were like, okay, every time you get in the car, you adjust the rearview mirror, you check your mirrors, go with a gauge and check your tires. It's like, does anybody actually do that? I think this is kind of in the same arena of like, it's not a bad idea, but like same thing. If you haven't driven the car in 3 years, I probably would check the tire pressure, check the oil,
Coolant, all of that stuff.
Same thing, right? I think this one's a yes no circumstantial.
So here is so now, because this is titled, the heading here is safety practices to avoid. If you do check your barrel, do not point the gun at your head. Okay. do not.
Looks good.
Yeah.
So I think we've done this. We've talked about this before. Best practice that I do is just disassemble the gun.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say field strip it.
Just field strip it, and you can either look through the barrel or you can if you can lock the slide back, make sure that there's no magazine in it. You can take a flashlight.
Yeah, I was gonna say the flashlight.
You don't have to put your hand in front of the gun.
You can angle it.
Off the side, and you can see if light comes through the breech.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the other thing too. It's like you can do that the other way. You can take it from the back and take your flashlight. It's gonna angle into the chamber there, so it's not a direct light, but you can kind of point it at something dark, and if you see light come through, it's like okay,
exactly,
probably okay.
Hard agree.
All right. The one thing I will say for like a fixed barrel, like a revolver or something, you could take a shoelace and drop it in the back end, and it should come out, or a cleaning rod.
Yep.
Yeah. Lots of ways to do that. Do not point the barrel of your gun towards your eye.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Unless the gun's taken apart, you should have no idea what the front of your barrel looks like.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Okay. Next, legal and ethical missteps here. So again, this is stuff that people think they may need to do, but they shouldn't do. And so let's see. AI is saying, don't make statements to the police after a shooting without legal advice. So I think that's probably correct.
It is. I think it is.
I think, and that's why they have like.
That's what I teach.
Yeah, that's why they have like the USCCA gun concealed carry insurance and or similar products to that, right? That's why you have that.
Yep, I agree with this.
Yeah,
I agree with this, and it's definitely like some people take this as like a dig to law enforcement officers. It's like no, it's just due process.
Yeah.
I agree with this.
Yeah. So. Second thing here in this heading, avoid using a firearm for non-imminent threats or to protect property. This is correct.
Yep.
Do not do this.
We talk about this so in depth in all of our classes that we teach. Deadly force, and the little sub quote on it is perfect. Deadly force is only justified for imminent life danger, not property or minor disputes.
Right.
This is a lot of when people ask me about constitutional carry, from a Second Amendment standpoint, yes, I support constitutional carry. This is the part where constitutional carry scares me with people not getting education.
Yeah.
Because what I fear is a day where we all have guns and it's awesome. I'm pro that. So I just fear for the day that the guns start coming out from minor disputes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there is constitutional carry. Yes, I'm glad we have it, but also you need to be a responsible gun owner, responsible, constitutional carry person, and you need to familiarize yourself with the law.
Yep.
Right? And the best way to do that is to take the concealed carry class. Even though you don't need it.
Yep.
You don't need it in the air quotes,
yep.
right?
In the state of Louisiana, I don't know about other states where folks are watching from, we actually get perks for having your your concealed carry certification, since we have constitutional carry, won't get into them, but our Senator Blake Miguez, did an excellent job in the writing of that bill. So you still have to take a class. So yes, but back to the point, the main topic is, yes, we teach a lot of this, and this goes to training. If you are afraid of everything, you need to go get some training.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's like you gets in a dispute with you and you immediately pull a gun out, like you need to go take a
That's not the
jiu-jitsu
correct
class
Yeah, I was
or
going to say,
something.
Well, we talked about that before, right? Like there's levels to it, right? Like
a flashlight. Like that's put a flashlight in somebody's face, they'll stop what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if you're that scared, pepper spray, something like that.
Pepper spray, Or this, exactly. Or this is where the martial arts comes in, right? Like, okay,
I agree.
Somebody's trying to take your stuff or trying to, whatever. They're not trying to necessarily kill you.
Yeah.
They're trying to do something. Okay, well then maybe it goes to physical altercation, but you don't need to shoot somebody on that.
That's correct.
Right. I don't think there's much more to say about this one. This one's pretty cut and dry. Yes, do not shoot people if they're stealing your car, unless you're in it, or something, right? Like, point is, don't take my word for it. Take your class. Take your local concealed carry class, whatever state you're in.
Yep.
Understand when you can justifiably use your firearm to protect yourself.
That's right.
Right? Okay, next one. Debunking common myths. This is the next heading. So... research shows some widely held beliefs about gun ownership can be misleading. Don't believe more guns or carrying guns automatically makes you safer.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yes.
It makes you more dangerous to everyone and yourself.
Yes.
Untrained. I had my are you trained or got training shirt on today and I took it off. So yeah, this is 100% correct, and this goes into exactly what we were just saying. If you're carrying without the knowledge of the law, it increases the risk of accidental shootings, which is manslaughter. So yeah, I mean, this and
probably this suicide may be accidental, right?
Yeah.
And like homicide, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What I think here is going on because the subtext here says studies suggest this increases risks like homicide, suicide, and accidental shootings.
And the suicide thing might go into the more guns. Like if you have more guns, they might be easily accessible for somebody that wants to hurt themselves.
That goes back to situational awareness though.
Yeah.
If you
in the home, yep.
I mean, the hardest part that is if you're the gun owner and you are starting to have those types of feelings, I think that you like particularly with gun owners, if you're starting to feel mentally off or something like you're having thoughts of suicide and stuff like that, get help.
Yep, get help.
Get help because
no shame in getting help.
Yeah, because I've had friends, you have friends that deal with depression and deal with stuff like this, and it doesn't take much for you to get on the wrong side of it. And then if you have access to your firearm and you're alone, the last thing we need is for you to make that decision.
That's right.
So get help.
100%.
The one thing that this tells me here, or the thing that speaks to me here about this one, don't believe more guns, it makes you more safe. This is almost like the cowboy effect or like the John Wayne effect, where now you have a gun on your hip and you go into
the big iron.
Yeah, and then you go into the gang infested neighborhood thinking you're hot stuff.
Dude,
it's like
they're gonna kill you.
Situational awareness.
Yeah, like we don't put ourselves in situations that we don't want to be in.
Exactly. Yeah, and you still have to do that even if you have a gun.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Guns don't help you.
Like putting it because you have a gun, you should even be more weary to avoid those situations, because then you're in a situation where if something does pop off, you may have to use a firearm.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, and as now you're a gun instructor, and you're in the industry now, and it's like, me competitor for how many years? It's like whenever I started getting really proficient with pistols, it's like, man, I hope I never have to use this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because
the more you do it, the people that we come across that are oh man, these riots and stuff, I wish they'd mess with me. They'd eat a 357 slugs.
Yeah, no. The reason why things don't go down is because the people who really are responsible gun owners stay away from that.
Exactly.
And like the only, you just have the misfortune if you are a gun owner, you get caught in it by surprise.
Yeah, that's where. Not to bring up politics or anything in the past, but like that was a lot of like people when it was going on. Like people knew that I was like a gun guy, so like there was a lot of people asked me about like the Kyle Rittenhouse thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it was both sides. It was like, do I think the shooting was justified? Whatever, the jury made their decision, but I don't think he should have been there.
Yeah, shouldn't have been there.
You shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
You put yourself in a situation to do what you had to do, right?
Yeah.
So some people are going to disagree with me on that, and I apologize if you disagree with me, but you put yourself in a situation where you have to use your firearm, you've already lost.
Yeah. Well, and look, and it goes back to, the instances I can think of where this gets real difficult, right? Is like is like school shooters,
Yep.
right? Because it's like, and my friends who are not gun friendly at all, they'll anytime there's a school shooting, they're hey, they're your guns again.
Yeah.
Like look, none of us gun owners, responsible gun owners want this to happen.
No.
There is not a single person that I can even point to in the 45 years of life that I've had that I can say, okay, this person wanted to like,
or just being like, oh, that's what happens when we have guns. It's like, no, none of us have ever said that.
No, we don't want that, right? So, and that's why it's like, some people, are saying arm the teachers, and I'm kind of like, okay, you can arm the teachers, but they need to be trained,
right?
So it goes back to this: more guns don't necessarily mean you're safer, right? If the teacher or somebody, like even like going on an airplane, right, where they're saying we need to arm the pilots, I'm like, yeah, maybe you need to arm the pilots if you know that the pilots, are trained.
Yeah,
that's the last thing, and it gets back down to fundamentals, like who should be. If you're carrying a gun, it's your responsibility to know that, hey, I can hit a target under stress if I need to.
Yeah.
Right. And that level of training, you can't, unless you prove it to somebody else, you can't just assume that that's who everybody, because you see it all the time in the range. I see it all the time at the club, where people think they are better than they are. There are a lot of gun owners who think that they're better than they are. And when they get put into a stressful situation, get put into a class scenario, get put into anything, they figure out real quick. It's like, hey, I'm not
this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get put on a clock. That's what I say. Like if you think you're John Wayne and you're out to bust all the gangs, like you said earlier, put yourself on a clock.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Go to a pistol match.
Yeah, and
try to be the middle shooter.
Yeah. Look up any of the qualifiers for big government agencies, the Air Marshal qual, the FBI qual, and video yourself doing it and send me your time. Yeah, and I'll tell you whether or not you're John Wayne.
Yeah. So, well, and honestly, and being now I'm going to be controversial, right? Because we did one of the first 2 years of the club. But one of the things that I heard was that it is a good idea to have NRA instructors sign off on the fact that you can complete one of these quals once a year so that you have evidence that, hey, I am proficient with my firearm, so that if they ever have to use it, then you can't get caught. Oh, he was scared. He had an accidental discharge, blah, blah, blah. So, no. I have some level, right? So that was kind of the assumption that I read somewhere that was a good idea to do. So we did it every December, the second match of December, right after the Aubrey Classic, we would do this gimmick match, right? Yep. Okay, it was the post qualification, or it was the FBI, right?
Yep.
And we did it, and the guys asked us to stop doing it. It was so boring, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is you get to some of these quals, like if you're having tough time with the qual, I'm going to tell you that you are still not ready for,
and I'll say this is the NRA qualification for an instructor is not a qualification.
It's class time. I have
but the shooting qual is not a qualification.
We were so when I did mine, I was exempt because I was C class or better in USPSA. So
go again. If you're watching this, go look up the NRA instructor qualification and see if you can shoot it. If you can shoot it, like, and look, and I'm saying that it's way too easy.
And we are both like
NRA instructors.
instructors.
And I've seen people fail it.
Yeah.
Like I think that it should have to exude not only proficiency with accuracy with a firearm, but proficiency in muzzle control, movement, target identification. I just think I think that we are giving out, there's too many people that are getting NRA instructor. And I mean, Dalton and I can speak to the people that were in our class, and like some of these guys, we were praying they were going to fail the qualification.
Yeah.
Like I'm terrified of the fact that they're teaching people.
Right.
And I say it like I am.
Well, it's the same thing with even concealed carry.
Yeah. Like some of the people I teach, like I'm scared that I have to, like that they're out there. Right.
Yeah.
And I failed people before.
Yeah.
I had a guy shoot the ceiling above his head one time in the thing. Like, dude, and he's like, oh, well, it happens. Like, no, it
doesn't happen.
Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're right. Like there's some people that eke by the qualification, and it's like, dude, that was like, what is it? 5, 10, 12 feet?
Yeah.
Feet?
Yeah. I don't even know.
Feet? Like it's from me to you.
Yeah.
So, but that's the rules. Like I can't fail you and you passed, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah. So like, I mean, maybe like people are going to be like, oh, you're just a hardo instructor. It's like, yeah, maybe so, but the standard needs to be the standard needs to be a little bit higher.
So yeah, and for our friends in law enforcement, military, I also think the standard needs to be higher, but also they need to give you much more training and much more ammo than you guys are getting. Right? I think that is one of like the most like under talked about things when it comes to firearms and military and law enforcement. It's like you guys, because whenever people, new policemen, and I love it when the Leo and the Mills come to our matches, right? And I'm not trying to brag on our club. Our club is very good, right? The level of our shooters are actually really, really good by comparison. But when we have law enforcement and military folks come in and they're not, they automatically think, a lot of them automatically think they're going to top the the thing.
They're going to beat everybody.
Win. Yeah. And it's like
you said, just try to be the middle guy. You won't do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get beat by a 15-year-old kid tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a humbling experience. And
but I guess where I'm going with that is my thought is like we should train these guys enough that they should be able to walk in and win a match.
Exactly. I 100% agree. And like you hit the nail on the head that like a lot of it boils down to like they're not given the resources they need.
Yeah.
I had a department the other day that reached out for like a T&E model for some of our product for Deadlock. And we gave them T&E samples, and they were like, yeah, we'll get back with you when we can. Like we don't have ammunition and we can't buy any in our budget.
Right.
Like what?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Like I emailed the guy back and I was like, who is your state senator? Like I'm genuinely, I'm going to get in touch with them.
Right.
Like this is horrific. Like you're this is like a SWAT guy. So yeah.
Yes.
This is a
We're
SWAT
in agreement.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh my God, you can't afford ammunition to train with. Like, something needs to be done about this. But that's why I'm so glad to see, like, at our range, our local law enforcement departments have programs that allow their officers to come and train.
Yeah.
And look, if you're a local officer and you happen to watch this show, I'll take a dig at you right now. They are allowed to come shoot for free.
Yeah.
They're supplied with ammunition and targets. And let's just say there's 20 people on the list. We might see 2 of them a month.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's free.
I know, man.
It's sad. And then guess what happens the day before post?
You see them all.
They all show up.
Yeah.
I need help.
Yeah. Like,
It's way too late.
Yeah, it's like we can get you over the finish line barely.
Yeah.
But you should be practicing this. I mean,
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. But we love to see the guys like in the club, and we have a lot of law enforcement officers that come and train very, very frequently.
Oh, they train hard.
And they ask us for help and stuff like that. And look, we're not law enforcement officers. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm not military. I have no prior anything of that, but we're shooters. Mm-hmm. You can be a great police officer. You can be great at policing, but at the end of the day, if you're not a good shot, I always say this, writing a bad report will not get you killed.
Right.
Not knowing how to use your weapon professionally will.
Yeah.
Or it'll kill somebody that didn't need to be killed. Right. So it may not seem like a big deal, but it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and so it's like this, and this is what I tell people all the time, because a lot of times, with folks with the military in particular, military, a little less with law enforcement, but you see it too, is that there's a lot of bravado there.
There's a stigma.
And so, and so the way I try to separate it is like, okay, you have to separate gun handling fundamentals from tactics.
From everything else.
Right? Like tactics are the thing you learn at the academy.
And that's what you're good at. That's the stuff I like.
I don't know anything about
it. I know a little bit, but not like military version.
Correct. Yeah. Like I'm not, you don't want to put me into necessarily a team of like guys, we need to go raid a house or something. Like, I don't know what to do unless you say, oh, well, JP, your only job is that when that target pops up, you just have to shoot it.
Yeah. You hit 2 alphas. But I got that.
And then there's going to be a beep.
Yeah. Shooter ready.
You stand right here. And when the beep happens, the target will appear and you just hit it.
Yep.
That's all,
Yep.
But if you separate that, like if you get really, really good, like master level USPSA, and I'm talking USPSA specifically, master level USPSA at the gun handling, then that takes, if you hold the gun for your job, then you don't have to think about the gun handling part. All you have to think about are the tactics.
Exactly.
Right? And it gives you more cycles to focus on what's more important is the tactics, right?
Exactly.
Because if you draw that gun and then you got to think, okay, pause, prep, press, boom, it's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late.
I agree.
Anyway, guns, carrying guns don't necessarily make you safer. I agree with that one. So, all right. Survey, this is getting into more of the details, relying on the safety mechanism. We talked about that. Gun and scabbard. Oh, these are all backed by NSSF. Okay, so that's interesting. Pulling the trigger with safety on. Yeah, don't do that. Improper ammunition. Modifying the gun. Okay.
Modifying the gun.
Let's talk about this one.
Let's talk about this one.
Yeah, because
let's hurt everyone's feelings.
Some might believe modifying their firearm improves performance or aesthetics, but the NSSF warns any alteration can make the gun dangerous and void warranties. Such changes, especially by unqualified persons, can lead to malfunctions or unsafe conditions. I 100% agree with that. Unqualified persons. This is not your neighbor that owns 30 guns, right? Just because they own a bunch of guns doesn't mean they know how to work on them. So, Austin.
This is my favorite one. This is the one where you ready for your TikTok comments? Here come your TikTok comments.
Here we go. Let's go.
Yes, your neighbor that owns 30 guns
or 300
guns
or 3
is not qualified to build you a gun, is not qualified to work on a gun. They're barely qualified to put an upper receiver on a lower receiver. Okay. So 90% of my job on a day-to-day basis outside of running manufacturing is to fix everything we're talking about here. It's, hey, my buddy built me this gun and it doesn't work. Shocker. I'll tell you the other one that's going to hurt everybody's feelings. I bought this gun at the gun show and it's custom and it doesn't work. Shocker. Shocker. A guy got an FFL out of his garage and he threw together some parts and now they don't work. Imagine that. So, you should not be doing any alterations to a firearm. And when I say alterations, I don't mean putting a grip on.
Or grip tape.
I don't care about any of that. You should not be installing a barrel. You should not be installing a gas block. You should not be doing any of that stuff unless you know what you are doing. Because, and like people will people are going to comment on this and be like, oh, a gas block? Yeah, dude, that thing can blow up in your hand. I had a guy bring me a gun the other day. This is a true story. I had a guy bring me a gun. This was maybe a month ago from a gun show. We always know when there's a gun show because the next day, 50 people that need
all
guns.
All kinds of broken crap.
Guns fixed. So the guy shows up and he bought a 300 blackout pistol from a gun show. And he's like, hey, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what do you mean it doesn't work? And he's not really a gun guy. So he's like, I don't know. I'll pull the trigger and it goes off and then I pull the trigger again, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go in the range and I grab some 300 blackout ammo. I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on with this gun.
Right.
So I brought it in there by myself, and I took a shot with it, and noticed that it, like you said, gun goes bang, nothing else happens. So I look and see eject the casing, no round. So I'm like, okay, something's wrong with the gas on the gun.
Right.
So I want to see if the bolt's even moving, because my first thing is the gas block's probably not installed properly.
Right.
Right. So grip down on the handguard and pull the trigger, and all I felt was a big push of pressure on my front left hand. And so the gun goes off, feel a big push of pressure on my front left hand, and I pulled my hand off, and I'm telling you, I told Brandon this, I was like, I don't have one of my fingers anymore.
Oh my God.
That's what I thought. And I looked at my hand, and there was a giant shard of metal in my thumb. The gas block had pushed off the gun, and the gas had broke the handguard and shattered it into my thumb.
Oh, jeez.
So I could have lost a finger.
Yeah.
So again, a guy put a gun together in his garage and sold it to somebody at a gun show, and like think if I'd have been gripping it a little bit further down, and that would have hit me in an artery.
Yeah.
Right. So like it could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
So like if you think that the little things like gas blocks and stuff like that are not important, they're so dangerous. You're dealing with tens of thousands of pounds of pressure going on inside of this barrel. The gun has to be built properly.
Right.
So yes, do not be careful at these gun shows. If it's a guy telling you that it's a custom gun that he built, it's not custom. Custom means like an infinity, something that somebody built with their hands.
Accuracy, an Accuracy International, a surgeon.
Gunworks. Putting guns together with parts is not custom.
Yes. Just because you have a bunch of different parts together doesn't make it custom. It makes it Frankenstein.
That's exactly right. The term we use is Frankenstein, and it does not make it worth anything more because it's a bunch of parts. Right. We see that every day with guys bringing guns in on consignment. They're like, oh, well, this is a custom build. It's like, dude, you threw two X company uppers on X company's lower.
Right.
This is not custom.
Yeah.
Like this. You took two things out of a box and pushed the pins in on them.
Yeah.
Right? It's not custom. This is not a $3,000 gun, right?
Yes.
Like even the guns that we build, like guys will be like, oh, we want to do a custom build. It's like, no, you want a Frankenstein build.
Yeah.
And which is fine, and that's what we do with our guns. But like, don't go telling your friends it's custom, because it's gonna look terrible on us and stuff. You know?
Right.
So
that's
don't let anybody work on your gun that's not qualified.
Right.
Bring it to a gun shop or a qualified gunsmith, and do not buy guns from individuals that are building them in their garages, even if they possess an FFL and they're not vetted.
Right. Yeah. And I think the underlying subtext there, is don't be the first one to buy. Right. If there's somebody who you're buying this gun from, right? Can I talk to 10 of your customers?
Yeah.
Can I? Are there? Is there an online community where I can ask about this kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Are there? Do you have results? Like, do you have people who are carrying this? You that's the vetting process, right?
Right.
The one thing I'll say about altering guns, because this is my USPSA guys, IDPA guys are going to get triggered about that. If it's a drop-in trigger, you're probably okay. If you're changing out the slide stop, you're probably okay. Adding a magwell, you're probably okay. If you're trying to tune your sear and you've never done that before,
you shouldn't be messing with it.
Let's send that off to an expert. Yep. Okay. And the expert is defined as, is the person that everybody sends their gun to, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek here, but the point is, if nobody has heard of your custom gun manufacturer, then they're either not custom gun manufacturer, or if they are, then they're probably not that good. Yeah. Right.
There's a market. Like, I understand that there's people that want less expensive guns to play with, right?
Yeah.
There's a place for that. I understand that. There are companies that manufacture cheap firearms. Mm-hmm. Like, I can tell you, like Radical, Delton, they make guns that are like $400, $500 AR platform.
Yeah.
You don't need to be going to the gun show and buying an AR from a guy that says that he built it. You don't need to be doing that.
No.
buy one from a company that has a warranty.
Yes.
Right? Because
that is a great point.
What's your warranty on this gun?
What
And
is
if
your
they tell
warranty?
you it's done after you buy it, chances are it's going to blow up when you shoot it.
Yes.
It's not going to work. Right. So, I mean, I'll give you an example. Just this week, I had a customer last week. I had a customer bring a firearm into me from a firearm manufacturer. I won't say who they are, but they're pretty small.
Okay.
I actually heard about this company a couple months back because of a different reason, but I've never seen any of their guns before.
Right.
So a customer brought me in a gun and said that he had bought it from somebody had bought it directly from them, and he bought it from that person. The gun was brand new.
Sure.
So the gun was brand new and it had not been altered.
Okay.
So he asked him what's wrong with the gun. He says that when he goes to chamber around, it's 5.56, it's an AR-15.
Okay.
It doesn't chamber around. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it just gets stuck. I'm like, okay. He's like, but if I can force it in there, then I can shoot it. But then the next round does the same thing. So immediately my head goes to, okay, there's something wrong with the feed lips.
Right.
Like it's hanging up on the feed lips.
Right.
So take the gun apart, and sure enough, the feed lips are sticking out. The barrel extension's sticking out past the upper receiver feed lips.
Right.
So I show him, I'm like, look, this is what the problem is. So show him like how a round gets hung up, go grab one of our guns and like see how it's smooth.
Yeah.
So there's either something wrong with the insulation of the barrel extension, or there's something wrong. There's a mechanical deviation with the upper receiver, right?
Right.
So I tell him, I'm like, the gun is like heavily Cerakoted. So that's when I thought it was like, okay, somebody messed with a gun that came from a manufacturer. So
and they dipped it in Cerakote.
Yeah.
And then it's
So I told him, I was like, okay, so I was thinking maybe they disassembled it to do that.
Right.
So I asked him, I'm like, okay, you need to call whoever you got this gun from and tell them that they sold you a faulty gun, whatever. So this week I show up and the gun's back.
Okay.
And so I call the guy. I'm like, hey, did you get a chance to get in touch with the people you bought it from? And that's when he explains to me that the gun is new. And he gives me the phone number of the person that he bought it from. So I'm chasing rabbits here. So then he gives me the phone number of the person he bought it from, who, they stick with me now, is the original buyer from the manufacturer.
Okay.
So I call that person and I say, hey, did you buy it in this condition directly from the manufacturer with this Cerakote job?
Right.
And they tell me, yes, I did. And so I'm like, okay, now this is making sense. So I go on their website and sure enough, the manufacturer has like a custom shop. And you can Cerakote it and you can put like words on it and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, this is making a lot of sense now. So I tell the person, I'm like, okay, you need to call the manufacturer, because basically the guys, so if I bought a gun from you and it didn't work, I'd be saying like, JP, like the gun you sold me doesn't work.
Right.
You need to fix it, right? So that's where we were at. So I told that person, the first buyer, hey, you need to call the manufacturer and tell them this is what's wrong with the gun. Okay.
Right.
So she calls me back, and she's like, hey, they told me that there's nothing wrong with the gun. I'm like, okay, do me a favor, give them a call and have them call me. So they call me, and they tell me, the guy's like, yeah, we talked to so-and-so, and, we heard that they had shot it 3 or 4 times. So, there's not much we can do if they've already shot it 3 or 4 times. And I was like
3 or 4 times.
I was dumbfounded. I was like, man, there's a mechanical issue with the firearm. Like the barrel extension is sticking out 2 millimeters out of the upper receiver. Like, so and the guy was like, well, he's like, maybe that could have been us. And I was like, sir, like, I mean no disrespect by this. Like, I do this almost every day. Like, it is you. Like, you need to fix this gun for this person.
Right.
And so he's like, well, man, can you send me some pictures? So I'll send him some pictures. And he was like, oh yeah, that definitely is us. It's like, man, like they weren't going to warranty this gun for these people.
Oh my gosh.
So
versus SIG.
Yeah.
Where if you call their warranty department and you have any problem with their gun, guess what? The gun gets shipped to them, and they're sending you a fix or they're sending you a new one.
Yeah, that's right.
So like a lot of times, and I'm talking more on the optics side, because Brandon and I have broken a lot of optics. But anytime we have a problem with the SIG optic, we send it back. Boom. Yep. It's within a week we have a new optic.
Yeah, and it's
right?
always it's usually a new one. So So vet your warranties. Like, be careful. That's my whole purpose with this. Is just see what kind of warranty you have. Be careful buying guns secondhand, stuff like that. So if you're gonna buy a gun secondhand, make sure it works.
Yeah. So because I mean, even with a Glock, you don't know what they've done. They
could have messed with something inside of it. And now it doesn't work. They didn't clean it for 6 years, and now something broke because it got so gummed up. So
believe it or not, Glocks need to be cleaned.
Yeah, they do.
So that is, that's an interesting one that wasn't listed here. I think the rest of this is.
I know where you're going with this, and I like it.
Yeah. So people think one myth of gun ownership is like I need to clean my gun every time.
Yep.
You don't. But you do need to clean your gun.
That's right.
You just don't need to clean it every time.
Yep. We have a lot of members that do this, and I mean no disrespect to our members. Like, I know like you want your stuff clean, so I think that's awesome. But you don't have to clean it every time you shoot. Now there are some guns that need to be cleaned every time you shoot if they're like open guns and guns that have such tight tolerances that any bit of gumming up or something like that will mess with the functionality of it. But most guns, no, you don't need to clean them.
Well, and I can tell you, my open gun from Infinity, don't need to clean it all the time. But they do have, going to the custom gun builder, right? Infinity Firearms. They do give me a schedule of when I need to clean it, when I need to replace springs, when I need to do X, Y, and Z thing. Field strip clean and relube versus completely take down. They give me that whole level of care that I need to do to the firearm. So they also go down to the level where they tell you what ammo needs to go very specifically, what ammo, what powder charge, what length, what everything. Right? That, and also, if I have any problems with it, I send it back, and they send me a gun that works. Right. That is a custom gun.
That's a custom gun.
Infinity, Eddie Garcia with EMG. Those are our guys when it comes to custom guns that we know we have data that backs up that these folks legit. They run and I talk about it all the time. My Infinity open guns run with Glock reliability. And I don't, and Brandon Stray will get hacked off at me. I don't clean my guns the way I should, but they still run.
They run.
And it's just one of those things. You don't have to clean your gun all the. Now, some people, they just find pleasure in it. They want to just
and that's
do it.
Fine.
Whatever makes you happy,
that's fine.
just unload the thing. Unload the gun before you clean it.
That's fine if you want to clean it every time, but especially like ARs, cool, dude.
Oh man,
we let those things eat.
For sure.
I'm the epitome of not cleaning guns. So
So no, the guys in the club always give me grief about they see gunpowder falling off of my gun. That's how much.
I'll have some of the guys at the shop clean my guns sometimes, and they're like, "Dude, what did you do to this thing?" I'm like, "I used it. I just shot it.
Bunch.
I just keep it lubed and running, and it should, But do what you want, but you don't have to clean them every time.
You don't have to clean them every time. I think, and that's probably a good place. The rest of this, if you guys are seeing this is just more of the same. The one here, okay, this is just a PSA, guys. Do not mix alcohol and drugs with carrying a loaded gun. Just if you're drinking, if you're doing some other things, there's a law, right? You're not supposed to carry a gun when you're drunk. All of that stuff. Understand what the law is and be responsible.
Right.
Don't be crazy, right? Because I tell you, what's the first thing, if you have to defend yourself, right? And it's found out that you were under the influence of anything. Hey, whatever may have been a justified shooting, if you have a lawyer that can't stand up to it, may become an indefensible offense, right?
That's right.
So, just don't do that, right? But I think that's it. So the one thing I can do with this is I can post this to our socials so you can go through and see for yourself what this AI came up with. I think it was a pretty good representation of some gun myths. We got to talk about some good stuff.
Definitely a lot more. And look, if anybody has any other ones that they've heard opinions on, or they have an opinion on, or things that they've heard, make sure to comment. And we'll try to get we'll try to get back to them or at least comment back on them.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, but I think that's a good one. We've been going for about an hour, so I think we'll close this one out here. If any other comments, questions, just hit us up on our socials. Buy some deadlocks.
I just got a submission for some T&E stuff. That's what I was looking at. It's Masters Week. When you watch this, it's not going to be Masters Week.
Yeah, it'll be probably after Easter.
Yeah,
I think.
So I was looking at my phone. Sorry. It is Friday, by the way, Friday morning. And for my golf people out there, just know that I told you that Bryson DeChambeau is going to win the Masters.
Oh, and you know this. You heard it here. Actually, you probably heard it here after it happened.
Yep. So if it happens, just know that I'm celebrating.
Yeah, there you go. What's the date today? Today is 4/11.
4/11, the morning of 4/11. So still early in the day. He hasn't done really much today. So
we haven't recorded. Austin called it.
I called it.
All right. Thanks, guys.